If you like this video, please hit the red subscribe button now. Hello science fans. Today, let's talk about something incredibly powerful. Nuclear energy. Inside every tiny atom is a core or nucleus, and when we split that nucleus, a process called fission, it releases a tremendous amount of energy. We can capture this energy as heat, use it to boil water, create steam, and turn giant turbines to generate electricity. It's a way to power our homes and cities without burning fossil fuels like coal or gas, which means no greenhouse gases are released into our atmosphere. One of the most prominent examples was the 3 Mile Island Nuclear Generating Station, located on a sandbar in the Susquehanna River near Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Think of a nuclear reactor as a very, very complicated kettle. Its main job is to get extremely hot, but in a very controlled way. The core of the reactor contains long rods filled with uranium fuel pellets. When the uranium atoms split, they release heat. Water is pumped through the core to absorb this tremendous heat, keeping the core from getting too hot, while also producing the steam needed for electricity. This constant flow of cooling water is absolutely essential. If that flow stops, even for a short time, the core can overheat very quickly. The safety systems in a plant like 3 Mile Island were designed with multiple backups, or redundancies, to prevent accidents. The idea was that if one system failed, another would kick in to take its place. This made people feel secure, believing that the plants were virtually foolproof. In the years leading up to 1979, nuclear power was seen by many as the clean, safe, and reliable energy source that would power the world for generations to come, a testament to humanity's ability to control awesome natural forces. For the people of Pennsylvania, and for the entire country, 3 Mile Island was a shining example of progress and America's leadership in the atomic age. It all started in the very early morning around 4 o'clock on March 28, 1979. In the second reactor, TMI-2, a small problem occurred in a non-nuclear part of the plant. A pump that sent water to the steam generators stopped working. This was a fairly common type of mechanical issue, and it shouldn't have been a major crisis. The plant had backup pumps that were supposed to turn on automatically to keep the water flowing. However, for reasons no one in the control room knew at the time, a pair of valves in the backup system had been mistakenly closed during maintenance days earlier, preventing the emergency water from reaching the steam generators. The first line of defense had failed. With the main pumps off and the backup pumps blocked, the steam generators couldn't get rid of the intense heat coming from the reactor core. Think of it like a car engine losing its radiator. The temperature inside the reactor started to climb very rapidly. As the pressure built up, a special relief valve at the top of the reactor automatically opened, just as it was designed to do. This valve released some of the superheated, pressurized steam to bring the pressure back down. So far, the safety systems were working. The problem was what happened next, when the pressure returned to a safe level. The relief valve was supposed to close, but it didn't. It got stuck open. In the control room, a light on the control panel indicated that the signal to close the valve had been sent. The operators saw this light and believed the valve had actually closed. They had no instrument that directly told them, "Hey, this valve is still open!" Because the valve was secretly stuck open, thousands of gallons of vital reactor coolant began to escape as steam. The reactor was essentially bleeding out its lifeblood, and the operators didn't know it. They were flying blind, trusting an indicator light that was telling them a lie. So why did this happen? It wasn't one error, a chain reaction of small problems, mechanical, human. The first link was a maintenance error. The valves for the emergency feedwater pumps had been closed for routine service 2 days before the accident. Standard procedure required they be reopened. A tag was placed on the control panel to warn operators. Unfortunately, these tags were overlooked. The second critical failure was a design flaw in the control room. The pressure relief valve got stuck open. Operators had no clear way of knowing the valve's physical position. The light on their console only showed the electrical signal was sent. It didn't confirm the valve's actual position. Operators, trained to trust instruments, believed the valve was shut. They thought the problem was somewhere else. They were looking for a leak where there wasn't one, while the real leak was gushing coolant out of the system. This misunderstanding led to human error. As coolant escaped through the stuck valve, operators saw the pressurizer water level rising. Their training said high water meant too much water in the reactor. So, they did what they were trained to do. They manually turned down the emergency core cooling system, which had automatically switched on to pump more water in. In reality, the reactor was starving for water, but their instruments were misleading them. they were accidentally making the situation much, much worse. Finally, the training wasn't enough for cascading failures. They were trained for single problems, a pump failure, a stuck valve. Not multiple things going wrong at once. It was like being taught how to fix a flat tire, how to fix a dead battery, but never prepared for a car that was also on fire. 3 Mile Island revealed a deeply flawed interface between humans and complex technology, from the control room design to the training of the people in it. If you like this video, please hit the red subscribe button now. Inside the control room, the plant workers were in a state of confusion and intense pressure. Alarms were blaring, hundreds of lights were flashing everywhere. For hours they struggled to understand the conflicting information coming from their instruments. They knew they had a serious problem, but they just couldn't pinpoint exactly what it was. It wasn't until a new shift of engineers arrived several hours into the crisis, someone finally realized the relief valve might be stuck open. As the morning went on, news of a problem at the plant began to leak out. At first, the utility company, Metropolitan Edison, downplayed the incident, assuring the public and government officials that everything was under control. However, the situation was far from stable. Officials from the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, or NRC, arrived on site and quickly realized the severity of the crisis. Communication became a major problem. Different experts had different opinions about the danger of the hydrogen bubble, some fearing it could explode. This conflicting information created an atmosphere of confusion and fear, not just for the public but for the decision-makers as well. For the community living around 3 Mile Island, these were days of terror and uncertainty. Families listened to the news, trying to make sense of the confusing reports. On Friday, March 30th, prompted by concerns over the potential for radioactive releases, Pennsylvania Governor Dick Thornburgh issued an advisory. He recommended that pregnant women and preschool-aged children within a 5-mile radius of the plant evacuate the area. This announcement triggered a wider, voluntary evacuation. Roads became clogged as an estimated 140,000 people fled their homes, packing what they could and not knowing when or if they would be able to return. The invisible threat of radiation was now terrifyingly real. President Jimmy Carter personally visited the site to assess the situation and reassure the public. He had a background as a nuclear engineer in the U.S. Navy. For several days, engineers worked around the clock to slowly and safely vent the hydrogen bubble and to bring the reactor to a stable, cold shutdown state. The immediate crisis was eventually averted without a catastrophic failure, but the sense of unease and the deep questions about nuclear safety would linger for years to come. The accident at 3 Mile Island was a watershed moment for the nuclear power industry worldwide. Even though the partial meltdown was contained and the release of radiation into the environment was found to be very small, the event shattered public confidence in nuclear technology. Before TMI, the industry had promoted nuclear power as perfectly safe. Afterward, that trust was just gone. In the wake of the accident, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, or NRC, launched a thorough investigation. The findings led to sweeping changes in how nuclear power plants were regulated, operated, and designed. One of the biggest lessons was the importance of human factors engineering. Control rooms were redesigned to be more user-friendly, with clearer instrumentation and better alarm systems to prevent the kind of confusion that plagued the TMI operators. Operator training was completely overhauled to include simulator practice for complex, multiple failure scenarios, ensuring they were prepared for the unexpected, not just the textbook problems. Safety regulations became much stricter across the board. The NRC mandated upgrades at all nuclear plants in the country, focusing on improving the reliability of emergency cooling systems, fire protection, and emergency response planning. The industry also created its own oversight body, the Institute of Nuclear Power Operations, or INPO, to set high standards for excellence and conduct peer reviews. The goal was to create a culture where safety was the #1 priority, always. Every plant was now required to have detailed evacuation plans for the surrounding communities, coordinated with local and state governments. Ultimately, the most important lesson from 3 Mile Island was that even the most advanced technology is vulnerable to human error and design flaws. The accident served as a powerful, humbling reminder that safety can never be taken for granted. While it marked the end of the rapid expansion of nuclear power in the U.S., it also ushered in a new era of safety and transparency for the industry. If you like this video, please hit the red subscribe button now. The changes implemented after 1979 made existing and future nuclear plants significantly safer, The shocking events at TMI became the catalyst for a safety revolution that continues to shape how we manage the mighty power of the atom today.